You're like the AAA of baseball, who you're ready to be called up to the big leagues at any moment.
That's a very respectful way of putting it.
So the embarrassing thing is, I was in the Army. I still don't understand the difference between active duty versus reservist versus National Guard. So what the fuck is a reservist?
A reservist is somebody who's not sitting on a military post. So right now there's hundreds of thousands of soldiers across the U.S. on Fort Benning, Georgia, right? All the different active duty posts, Fort Drum in New York. We got military posts down in San Diego. Those are guys who are stationed on active duty, and regardless of whether or not they're deploying, they're waking up every morning and they're doing the military stuff, right? They're cleaning their gear, whatever it was that you were doing, right?
Yeah.
Like not a whole lot, right?
I spent a lot of time, and only ex-military people will understand this. I spent a lot of time dry sweeping the motor pool. And for those people that are listening that aren't in the military, all that means is you basically take the equivalent of kitty litter, which is like this dry powder, and you rub it in with your foot on all the oil stains around the parking lot where they park the tanks and the Humvees and the tractor trailers and everything. And then you sweep this dry sweep all day long. And I imagine it has something to do with discipline and cleanliness and whatnot. But all I remember is 3 years at Fort Riley, Kansas, getting this fucking kitty litter dry sweep and spending hours and hours and hours just rubbing it in with our boots into all the oil spills and then sweeping it up. That was literally half of my military experience. Being in from 97 to 2000, there was no wars. There was no 9/11, Bosnia. I was so bored at Fort Riley, Kansas. I volunteered to go to Bosnia to clear mines like that were still live and exploding. And there was so many volunteers to go to Bosnia because people were so bored in Kansas. I didn't get a slot to go to Bosnia to dig up landmines. So that will give you guys a little, for those of you that haven't lived in the dead center of Kansas, that'll give you a little hint at how boring it is out there. But anyway, so back to your reservist. So,
I mean, so the all the stuff that you're describing right now are stories that I had heard in one way or another, and that did not sound appealing to me. And not that there's anything wrong with what you did. There sure as hell isn't. But you know, the way I looked at it is, cool, I've got the college degree. I want to do something productive with my life. I didn't have like a discipline problem or anything like that. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to enlist in the reserve. And if my country needs me, then they can call me. But the idea of sitting on a military post on active duty did not sound particularly appealing. So I said, cool, I'm going to keep trained up. I'm going to continue to do the PT test and stay in good shape. And once a month, which is, you know, to answer your question, what does a reservist do? A reservist shows up once a month for a weekend, and they do what's called drill, which is they go, and a lot of it is similar stuff, to be frank, except for just a weekend instead of your, you know, for 3 years. But a lot of it is just doing all the paperwork stuff, right? You have to maintain a level of readiness so that if the country calls, you're in a deployable position. That's what they were always focused on is, you know, the NCOs were always focused on making sure that we were deployable, meaning we were healthy enough where if something did happen, we could go. But a lot of it was administrative stuff too, right? Making sure that we had the physicals. So
this is kind of like, this is like the AAA baseball of the Army, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're not quite active duty, but if the shit really hits the fan, they're like, well, at least this guy knows how to load and fire his gun because he's been practicing once a month. And they're staying in physical shape, and we test them every month. And it's like,
that's a very respectful way of putting it. Out of all the ways that I've heard former active duty guys describe a reservist, that was a very respectful way of describing it. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll take AAA to the big leagues any day.
It's all about respect on the On the Edge podcast.
Yeah, dude. I mean, for me, it's like, hey, everybody, you know, can raise their hand, and you know, regardless of to what extent it was, like if you raise your hand and you sign on the line that is dotted, you know, you did it. It's just everybody's got a different, you know, way that they served. And what's been really cool is the guys that have done the most stuff are the ones that say that, right? It's whenever I get shit about being a reservist, most of the time it's from people that really didn't do anything, and they're trying to like make themselves feel good about the service that they had, but
Right.
deep down, like they're, you know, ashamed or feel
Insecure or
Yeah,
whatever.
insecure about what their service was. Like the guys who had multiple combat deployments, gone through the shit, are the ones that are like, no, man, like you did your part. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like that's a very consistent thing.